Today I have an awesome bonus episode for you, and I will be reviewing Ready Player One. Stay tuned to find out what I thought of this movie after reading the book. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome back to the Shelf Addiction Podcast. If you enjoyed today's bonus episode, please like and share it. Show your support by rating the podcast and leaving a 5-star review and liking this episode on your favorite podcast directory. It seems super simple, but it really helps me out. Don't forget to subscribe while you're there because a new episode of this podcast comes out every Sunday and Wednesday. If you'd like to comment on something you've heard during this episode, you can find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. You can also email in feedback or questions, and you can reach out to me at info@shelfaddiction.com, or you can call in and leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe. The link is below in the show notes.
My name's Wade Watts. My dad picked that name because it sounded like a superhero's alter ego, like Peter Parker or Bruce Banner. But he died when I was a kid, my mom too. And I ended up here. Sitting here in my tiny corner of nowhere. There's nowhere left to go. Nowhere. Except the Oasis. A whole virtual universe.
Let me take you on a trip. Around the world and back.
People come to the Oasis for all the things they can do.
And you won't have to wait to sit still.
But they stay because of all the things they can be.
Can you feel this?
Let me show you the world.
Yeah. It's the only place that feels like I mean anything. The Oasis was the brainchild of James Halliday.
Hello. If you're watching this, I'm dead. I created a hidden object, an Easter egg. The first person to find the egg will inherit $500 billion and total control of the Oasis itself.
Who is this Parzival, and how the hell is he winning?
Find him.
This isn't just a game. I'm talking about actual life and death stuff.
The Oasis, the world's most important economic resource.
It's nothing less than a war for control of the future.
Welcome to the rebellion, Wade.
Like many of you, I only came here to escape. But I found something much bigger than just myself. Are you willing to fight?
Help us save the Oasis.
All right, everyone, let's jump into this movie review. First, let me just say that Ready Player One, if you don't know already, is a book-to-movie adaptation based on the book, also of the same title, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, published in 2011. And I did read that book, and I did enjoy it for the most part, and I will be drawing some lines between the book and the movie as far as differences at a high level, right? I'll try not to spoil things for you, but I definitely do want to point out some of the differences that were apparent to me at a high level, as I said, so for those who have read the book that are curious to know what they'll be in for. Ready Player One was released on Thursday, March 29th, 2018, directed by Steven Spielberg, and we all know who he is, right? This is rated PG-13, and this is a fantasy/dystopian title with a runtime of 2 hours and 15 minutes. So yes, it was a pretty long movie, but guess what? It didn't feel like it, and that's one of the bonuses. This movie stars a few new actors and actresses that are new to me. Ty Sheridan plays the main character, Parzival/Wade. Olivia Cook is Artemis/Samantha, and a couple other people that are also unknown to me, including the remaining three that I didn't mention of Parzival's squad, H, Joe, and Dido. All these kids were great, and the actors were good, and honestly, the casting was spot on, in my opinion. If you have zero clue what this movie is about, the year is 2045, and it is a dystopia world. Everything is really hard. The main character, Wade, aka Parzival, feels like he's only alive when he escapes to the Oasis. So every day he is in the Oasis. He goes into this virtual reality and he spends hours on top of hours in this reality, as does most of the world for that matter. Everything about the Oasis was created by this really kind of oddball, eccentric guy named James Halliday. And so when the guy dies, he leaves his whole system of Oasis to one person who can find the golden key. You know, there are 3 keys ending with the gold key, and that person will take ownership of all of his shares of Oasis and a lot of money, like $500 million or something crazy. So, of course, everyone is out for this money. And the people that are searching for these keys, they call themselves Gunthers. And they are just immersed in everything that Halliday loved. They spend days and weeks and months and years of their lives studying Halliday, studying the 80s, memorizing movies, songs, games, anything you can imagine that Halliday liked. These Gunthers were about knowing everything so that they could solve this puzzle. Now, as someone who has recently read the book, I did read Ready Player One. I want to say maybe 5 months ago. It was a book club read. I'm thinking it was about 5 months ago, maybe 6. So, you know, things had not been like really fresh in my head, but I remembered a lot of the plot, and I was very dismayed to see that the movie chose to not use the actual things that happened in the book. So high level, very high level, yes, the plot is generally the same, but it's like they took the idea of the book and made it completely into something different. And, you know, that usually happens with, you know, book to movie adaptation. So it didn't entirely surprise me, but it did kind of disappoint me. So, for example, with all 3 of the keys, how the main character, Parzival, and his friends went about finding these keys was completely different. So the games that they were playing in the book, generally speaking, were different than what we were seeing on screen, especially the first one. In the book, it was all Dungeons and Dragons, and on screen, it was something else. I'm not going to tell you so you don't get spoiled, but it was not Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe there were a couple, you know, little Easter eggs that called out to Dungeons and Dragons, but that's it. Same for the second key. That was another thing that was like, okay, yes, the person who found the key first was the same as the person who found the key first in the book, but pretty much everything else was different about that key. And the final key as well. How Parzival had solved that and found what he needed to do for that third key was very different than what was in the book. So if you understand that the world of the Oasis looks very different on screen than, you might visualize in your head, it's definitely because it's souped up, right? And I get that because with Steven Spielberg, he's got to raise the level, right? He's got to, he had $175 million budget for this. And of course, Warner Brothers and Amblin Entertainment wanted to throw everything at this. They threw every pop culture possibility into this movie, so much more than what the book had, and different things. Like, for example, I don't remember the mention of Halo in that book at all. Yet a couple different times you see Halo characters, the game Halo characters running around. We see a little shot of Chucky. We see a little shot of, all kind of things from all kinds of, pretty much anything that's 80s and 90-ish pop culture. It's been thrown in there. And actually Halo's kind of a now thing. But whatever. Maybe that's why it wasn't in the book. But the music was good. The acting was good. I was thoroughly entertained. I enjoyed every moment of it. And when it was over, I felt good that I watched it. Will I buy it on DVD? I don't think so. Maybe not. Was it memorable? I think in general, yes, but will I be talking about this in 2 or 3 weeks when the next big thing comes out? No. Just like the book, I enjoyed it when I read it. It was a great conversation for book club, and I was ready to move on. Same with this movie. It was fun to watch. It was definitely entertaining. It was a big spectacle on the screen. The music was great. The cinematography was fabulous. I expected nothing less, and that's what I got. And I tried to take it for what it was and not be too upset about the big differences between the movie and the book. So with that said, would I recommend you see Ready Player One? Absolutely. If you didn't read the book, no worries. You will enjoy it anyway. If you did read the book, if you read the book yesterday, yes, it's probably going to bother you quite a bit, the changes. But if you read the book a little while ago, in the memories of the details is a little bit fuzzy, you can go into this, have a good time with it, and try not to nitpick it to death. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to rating the book, I rated the book 4 out of 5 bookmarks. And I would rate the movie similarly. I will probably give it a 3.5, but I love to use whole numbers, so I'm going to round up to a 4. Like I said, the entertainment value is there, no doubt. You'll absolutely have a fun time watching it. And yes, there are some things that are inconsistent. There are some things you can nitpick, but don't. Just go in there and have a blast and enjoy Ready Player One. So that's it, guys. I'm going to end it there. You've heard my thoughts on Ready Player One. If you've seen it and you liked it, please let me know what you thought of it, what parts you liked, what parts you didn't. And if you didn't like it, I want to know why. So feel free to comment at me on Twitter. Let me know what you thought about the movie, how you felt about it versus the book. I would love to know those things. And I will catch you guys in the next episode. Take care, everyone. If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcast and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.